Live from the KHOU11 studios, it's Great Day Houston. And now, here's your host, Deborah Duncan.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Great Day Houston. We are starting with a topic that, whether you believe in it or not, most people at least have to admit they're curious. Where do we go when we die? On the show Resurrection, people actually come back.
You're not the only one, there's others.
Let the rain wash away all the pain of yesterday.
When I saw him, my body, my mind, my soul knew that this is my child.
But what if he's not the same?
Our first guest today says the premise of this show is not so far-fetched. He believes we never really die. Here to explain and to prove his point that loved ones are still around us even after they pass on, welcome the psychic lawyer, Mark Anthony. Hello there. The creators of this show were even saying they were pleased but surprised at how quickly this show grasped people's attention. And that's because a lot of us still wonder.
Absolutely, we wonder. But the fact is that love never dies, and who and what we are never dies. And you, Deborah, I like to let people know that when you die, you take your personality with you, your love, your memories. So when you die, you take you with you. Yeah.
All right. Now, science, if you use a science premise, it's kind of interesting. They'll say, well, energy never really goes away.
Exactly.
And so that's kind of an explanation people use, too, to say, so perhaps the energy of our soul never really goes away. Let's talk a little bit about you first before we get to some audience readings here of when you first discovered what some people may look at as a curse, you see as a blessing.
I was about 4 years old, and I started having invisible friends.
Which is normal for a lot of kids.
Which is normal for a lot of kids, except they tended to be people that my parents knew who died. But I was fortunate because, as I discuss in my book, Never Letting Go, both my parents, my mother and my father, were mediums.
Yeah.
This is a hereditary trait that runs in our family. So instead of chastising me and treating me like I was some type of freak or weirdo, they just said, well, just keep it at home. Don't really talk about it outside of the house.
Because there's a thought that there are a lot of kids who may have that so-called gift, but society, we'd shut it down. Parents will shut it down. You know what you're talking about? Don't talk about that out loud. Don't say that to other people type of thing.
Exactly. And I think that everybody is psychic or mediumistic to some degree. I mean, everybody in this audience, I mean, how many women here have women's intuition? Come on, let's hear it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Girl, don't go off that man. He's not that good. Okay.
Guys, you got gut feelings and instinct, right? Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Let's hear a grunt. You know, grunt if you can't cheer. But the fact is, we all have the same physiological equipment. There's a reason that women have women's intuition and men have a gut instinct. There's a reason that many people here, how many people here felt a loved one talk to them in a dream? And it felt real, didn't it? And you'll know the difference between a visitation and a dream, because in a visitation it has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it feels like a real conversation.
Yeah, I had that happen when my brother passed away. He came, I thought, to say goodbye.
Exactly.
And what we found out a few days later is all of us, my mom, my dad, we started talking, and my sister, and my sister said, did you have him visit you? Did he visit you? I said, yes. And my mom and dad said the same thing. So, you know, that we all had the same dream was very interesting to us, or the same visitation, as you call it. You're a criminal defense trial lawyer, and you use this in that work as well. But for our purposes today, one of the things that you also want to do is help people grieve, if you will.
Yes.
When you have a loved one pass away, you know, Thanksgiving rolls around, Christmas rolls around, whatever, there's that empty seat at the table.
There is, and there's a technique that I've written about in a blog on my website, neverlettinggo.com, which I would like to share with the audience. It's called Today Is Not That Day. And it may sound simplistic, but you have to remind yourself that today is not the day that your loved one passed. Let me explain what I mean by that. The firsts. In the year after a loved one dies, there will be the first birthday of the person you love, the first holiday, the first Cinco de Mayo, the first anniversary. And what happens is you'll subconsciously take yourself back to the day the person died, and your grieving and your pain will start all over again. It's as if the wound has reopened. And I'm Catholic, so I understand guilt.
Yeah.
Okay? And the reason I say that, and with all due respect to everyone's religion, in some ways, I think people feel that if you are grieving and if you feel really in a lot of pain, you're somehow honoring your loved one. And if you're torturing yourself, and like for a lot of parents who've lost children, they feel guilt over it, whether they had anything to do with the child dying at all. So psychologically, you bring yourself back to that day, and it all begins again. And you have to tell yourself, today is not that day. I want everyone to repeat that. Today is not that day.
All right, with that said, I want to ask audience members, how many of you have lost a loved one? Yeah, just about every. You live a few minutes in life, and there's going to be someone like that. All right, let's get started. First, I want to ask you, though, what do you see? Is like, we have the audience right here. Are there extra audience members here right now that we don't know about?
There are, and I'm pretty sure that everyone here has given their dead loved ones their marching orders to shove everyone else's dead loved ones out of the way and make a beeline right to me. And the thing is, one of the reasons I like to use some humor and keep things light and upbeat is it's easier for spirits to communicate in a positive environment than it is a negative environment.
Attracted to that environment.
They're attracted. And how many times have maybe you or some of the audience members said, well, I never feel my loved one around me, and I want that contact. I want it, I want it, I want it. You know, if you keep yourself more upbeat and receptive, it makes it easier, because when you're saying, I want, I want, I want, essentially what you're doing is setting up a fence, a barrier, if you will.
Okay, all right. Take the floor.
Can I stand up?
You can stand
All
up.
right.
You stand up.
All right, I'm getting an older gentleman coming through, and what I'm getting with him is I'm feeling a lot of involvement in my throat, which indicates to me that it was very difficult for him to breathe prior to passing. I'm also feeling like a seepage going from his throat into his lungs. And I'm feeling this weakened sensation. So what it indicates to me is that his passing took a real long time. Now, I know that that could be said of a lot of people, but what he wants you to know is that he was really involved with cars, automotive, traveling. I'm smelling like the type of oil and machinery. So this gentleman worked around a lot of heavy equipment. Does this make sense to anyone? Yes, to you? It does?
Okay. Hold on one second. Let's get a microphone over to you. All right.
And does the month of October?
Yes.
Okay. All right, because what happens is spirits present to me various images, and there's images I get for October. All right. Do you mind standing up? Take a deep breath. Question. He's showing me now bananas. Now that... Bananas, okay. All right, in what way do bananas resonate?
United Fruit Company.
Ah, okay, and he was involved in the transport of this?
Yes.
Okay, so that's where all the heavy machinery is coming in.
Yes.
All right. He says that, and that you never used to forget his birthday. He said you were always really good about his birthday, and he used to call you like his good luck charm. Does this make sense to you?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Now, when I'm also getting good luck, do you like Chinese food? Or did he like Chinese food? Because he keeps showing me the image of a grasshopper. And when I get a grasshopper, that indicates either a relationship to something Chinese or... Go ahead.
He would call me Margarita, which is not my name. But I believe in Spanish, a little grasshopper is sometimes called.
Oh, Margarita.
Little Margarita.
Where's all our Cinco de Mayo people?
All right, Nayla, Margarita, in Spanish, could it be little grasshopper?
Little grasshopper.
Yes, he always calls me that. And his birthday is October 31st. And one of the last conversations I had actually called him for his birthday.
Can I ask you, is there something you want to ask Mark about this?
Is there anything that he wants to say to me? Other than he's here with me?
Yes. It's your cholesterol level. he's talking about.
Okay.
Okay? Now, I don't diagnose or prescribe, so when I bring something like that up, that does not mean go cold turkey on all dairy products. You run that through your healthcare provider or your doctor. But he's concerned that your cholesterol levels can be an issue. He's also concerned that you are supplementing, in other words, you are doing things to avoid sleep or to get through not sleeping. This is tied in a lot with his grieving, and I'm feeling that there's something going on with you around 2 to 3 in the morning. Does this make sense to you?
It's all accurate.
Okay. And what he's doing is he's reaching out to you to let you know that he's aware that you're grieving, that he loves you very much, and he wants you to stay in a state of optimal health. Because the thing about him, and this is your dad, right?
My grandfather.
Your grandfather, because he's got a very fatherly-like way about him. He used to push himself. He burnt the candle at both ends, and this is a trait that kind of runs in your family that you have, and he doesn't want you doing that to yourself.
Okay.
So that's what he wants you to know. Oh, wait, last thing, and I know we're in the month of May, but there is something about the month of May and either the name Mary, Maria, which is making a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Does
what's
that
the name?
resonate?
My mother's name is Marjorie, and I believe they met in the month of May.
Yeah.
They met in the month of May.
There you go. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be right back with more readings.
God bless.
Thank you.
We're back with the psychic lawyer, Mark Anthony, who just read one of our audience members, and you picked out these specific things that no one would know, and so you're just like, wow. So you feel like your loved one really is here.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Everything was accurate, 100%.
Everything was accurate, 100%, she says. All right, so for our next person who's coming through.
I'm getting an older gentleman. I'm getting the guys coming out today, the
Yeah.
male spirits, and I think I'm being drawn to you. I'm going to make you stand up.
Okay.
All right, what I'm getting is this gentleman, and he is, okay, he's either on your generational level, which would mean like a spouse, friend, a sibling, brother, okay, and what I get about him is a lot of frenetic and nervous energy. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, got it? Hold the microphone up.
Yeah.
I understand. And it seems like he never had time for anyone or anything but himself. And one of the things he wants to do is apologize to you for not listening. He said because you were always telling him you need to take better care of yourself, you need to call mom, you need to stop in and see everybody, you need to stop thinking about yourself so much. And he wants you to know that you won that argument. All right? Yes.
Finally.
Finally. Finally. And what it is about him, he kind of on a subconscious level knew that his life was going to be cut pretty short. And so he wants you to know that he wasn't so much self-centered as he wanted to experience everything. But the big mistake that he made in his life is that he didn't experience enough time with his family more. Interesting, he keeps showing me a box of cornflakes. Cornflakes. Does that make sense to you?
No.
Okay, a lot of things that come through in a reading may not make sense right away, and that could reference something about him and breakfast. Or cornflakes may make sense to you in some way.
Breakfast.
Breakfast?
Yeah.
Okay, in what way?
Near the end, every morning, he would get up and say, "Are you going to cook my breakfast?" I say, "No. No."
So he wanted you to cook the breakfast.
Yeah.
So you got cornflakes instead.
Well, every morning he wanted soft scrambled eggs. I couldn't scramble them the way he wanted.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me. One of the reasons that he wanted you to make the breakfast, he said he would burn it because he had no sense of time when it came to working in the kitchen. Was there something about the toaster and burning toast that he's talking about?
A toaster oven.
A toaster oven. Okay. Well, I'll take that one.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, he's talking about the whole toaster incident. And one of the things that he always loved about you is the care and the compassion and the time that you put into the people around you. And that's the one thing that he wished he would have learned when he was here. So what he wants you to know is that you're on the right track in life. And he said that your love for children is your true gift, because children in your care always feel safe and always feel loved, and that your moral center and your faith is what shines through to help these young people become, as he puts, blessed adults. It's very interesting. How does that resonate with you?
100%. I retired and I'm wanting to work with pre-K children. My son got interested in FFA later in his senior year in high school, and I want to mentor single parents with sons at FFA, because in the school children, they're not, they don't know anything about farm animals or anything like that, and that's my mission.
You see, why this is so significant is your brother is still connected with you energetically through the power of love, and you're getting his blessing from the other side. And the other thing that he wants you to know is how much he really did look up to you and idolize you. And you know it, and you knew it. And he knows that you know it. But he wants to make sure that he acknowledges that. Now, I'm not an airy-fairy psychic that always talks about butterflies, but he keeps showing me the image of butterflies. Butterflies make sense to you, or butterflies make sense to somebody else, because I'm getting real strong image of the color yellow and butterflies.
And of course, that could be the actual butterfly, or it could be the symbol, right?
The
of
symbol
transformation.
of a butterfly,
we know that butterflies
yes.
are associated with transformation. Have you transformed in your life? Look at me, I'm just like, I'm becoming a psychic now. But I will say that we are out of time. You're wiping tears. You're wiping tears. Are you glad you came today?
Yes.
If you would, think about butterflies, because a lot of things, for the benefit of the audience here and the listeners, a lot of things that come through in a reading may not make sense to you right away. You need some time to think about it. And I will be here in Houston today and tomorrow. I'll let Deborah talk about that.
The tip of the iceberg here. If you would like to see Mark Anthony in person, he'll be at Body, Mind, and Soul tonight and tomorrow at 7 p.m. That's off the Katy Freeway. He'll do readings and host a book signing as well. For ticket information and more on Mark Anthony, the psychic lawyer, you can log on to greatdayhouston.com. As you can see, some people think it's a little scary to meet a psychic who can break through the other side, but I think I could safely say with our two audience members today that this was comforting, wasn't it? Yeah. It was very comforting. All right.
And if I may, my book, Never Letting Go, is about healing from grief and coping with loss. And the thing is, Deborah, the journey through grief is something nobody wants to take, but unfortunately it's a road we're forced down at some point in our life.
There is light at the end of that tunnel.
And there is light. There is the light.
The light. Oh, the light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah, stop grieving because your loved ones are partying in heaven. Okay. Today on Facebook, by the way, we want to know, have you ever experienced something so bizarre that you can only guess it was a sign or communication from the other side? Log on, let us know. I mentioned that everybody in my family, we all had the same dream that my brother came to visit us. We'll share some of your comments a little bit later on in the show. We've got to have you back sometime. We can do the whole hour, because I know this moves by so quickly, and it's just so intriguing to a lot of people. But thank you very much for coming back.
Honor. God bless you.
Are you looking for a quick family getaway or just some me time? You can find more than 30 craft brews, live entertainment, and good old-fashioned barbecue all in one place. We'll tell you about it next. Welcome back. The last audience reading we did, she goes, the butterflies. A friend of hers is actually quilting butterflies, and they are yellow butterflies. So the light went off there. Well, if you live in Texas and still think Grapevine is just a line.